I experience like beingness all the time, right here, and it's blissful. And then in my life, I work in a company and we have employees and, you know, I just want to know like how to be every day, moment by moment. Is there like you were talking a little bit about it, witnessing, but I want to really understand it more. Like, should I move into the bliss, or do you witness what's arising? Like, sometimes if something happens at work and it affects money, then I will start to get uptight and reach out in a way that would not be in alignment with this beingness. And I really want to know, I don't want to like this bliss beingness is like really special, or it feels special, and I don't want to.
You don't want to jeopardize that. You don't want to lose it, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I want
No,
to.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. But you know, I'm going to bust your question, right? You know that. But first of all, is that what I mean by that is with best, you know, intention from the heart. First of all, is that you haven't yet tried, right? You haven't gone to your work yet, now, in that blissful state.
Well, it's always there. It's whether I focus on it or not.
So what's the worries then?
What's the what?
What's the worry if it's always there?
I guess, should I focus on it? I mean, being the witness is different than focusing, like moving into the bliss, or being the witness is a little bit different. And maybe it's, I didn't know what you meant by the 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but maybe it's that I've got a foot out and I'm not making this the most important.
Maybe that's for you to find out. That's for you to see into. I cannot tell, you know, I cannot suggest or give advices here, right? Because it's very easy to give advices. You have your life to live. You know best what's best for you. Unless you essentially feel that you no longer know what's best for you, then it's a different story.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, as far as this is, I don't know what is best.
Best is to be in bliss all the time, I can tell you that. It's the best.
Because like, in the bliss, there's nothing else. I'm not complaining, but but there's only that. I mean, you're all here, but there's only that.
But
I'm not complaining.
no. First, sort of, you know, bliss is not just bliss. There are different degrees and levels of bliss. Right? There are different kind of bliss. The bliss that is associated primarily with the senses. Right? Eating a good, organic strawberry in season is pure bliss. That's why it tastes good. You know, it's not because it's strawberry, it's because it's blissful strawberry. I mean it. Everything is empowered by bliss. Every experience, there are different kind of degrees of bliss. From the bliss of temporal joys to more refined bliss, to the bliss of when we essentially begin to experience the subtler dimension of our being, and all the way to the bliss of omnipresence, when we are essentially do not know the parameters where we end. You know, the bliss of Brahman or the bliss of universe, Jagadananda, or Brahmananda, the different kinds of bliss. So let's not just immediately run into conclusions that because we experience bliss and nothing else, and that's all there is, that all there is to bliss, full stop. Because at some point, bliss could be experienced like that, as this inner bubbling something from within, because it doesn't come from without, it doesn't come from the outside. It's simply like something fizzes out from within and just reverberates through every neuron in the body, right? And we could feel almost that we could literally merge with everything. It's just on that verge. It's very subtle. And it goes through the whole entire cellular structure. It's very invigorating in more ways than that term actually exemplifies. Bliss could also be just waves of orgasmic pleasure, literally, orgasmic. Because orgasm is the most powerful experience available on the physical level of reality. It's the most powerful experience, full stop. Why that is? Because there are reasons. We can speak about that separately, exactly why that is. There can be bliss that is accompanied, or rather arising from the heart as this warmth of connection, warmth of that connection in a sense of deep relation. It's a different kind of bliss, you see? The bliss can rise from the tip toes, literally, from the soles of your feet, and tingle throughout the entire body, again as a wave. There are so many different ways how this bliss can be experienced. Bliss can be also as if you are simply submerged into the bath, literally submerged into the bath, that beautiful bath of light, or as if you are standing under the shower and there is this shower of light. The bliss could feel as ascending. The bliss could feel as descending, as a waterfall. Bliss could be unbearable. Bliss could sometimes be so unbearable we cannot do anything. We actually beg for it to subside because it's so intense. It could just come out as the waves of radiance from any of the psychic centers. So this is just about how bliss could be experienced, and of course more. So let's not just say that bliss and nothing. Bliss can be accompanied, of course, and when there is a possibility to experience bliss on the obvious plane of reality, through what we do, then it is truly the aim of why we are in the body. This is the glory of life. This is that greatest mystery. But you have this question, and you said it's a question personally related to you. The bliss is not a problem there. I don't think the bliss itself is something that you connect to. It's self-evident. Yeah. Bliss is there, right, as the substratum. Right. Sometimes it feels more, sometimes it's felt more, sometimes less. That's all there is. Another understanding also is that bliss as that inseparable part of other aspects of your awareness, exemplified through being and consciousness, right? Because you are always conscious. That's the chief property of consciousness, is that it is conscious. And it is blissful. And it is eternal, right? That's what Satchitananda really is. Everything, including the question itself, the doubt and the worry, rises from that. Bliss empowers it in the first place. But mind begins to interpret. You see? Mind begins to interpret. Question comes from the mind, not from the bliss. It comes from the mind which is still not infused with bliss. When mind begins to be infused in bliss, questions like this would not rise. Because all questions are answered in bliss. Do you remember me saying at the very beginning of the immersion that this path essentially has one chief characteristic, is that we get to the bliss as quick as we can and understanding will follow. If this path was about first let's get understanding and the bliss will follow, then I would have said that. And we would have aimed at understanding first. No, bliss is first. Bliss is really where understanding will find its conclusive, essentially, grounds. Without that bliss, proper understanding is impossible. But I feel something else is in the question. Something else, because you mentioned the work. Going back to do the work. Do you love your work? Do you do that because you have to do it? Would you, if you have enough money, would you still do it? No. So let's go to the question. Why are we going around the question?
Well, really the question was how to be in life. Because there are, besides work, there are other situations you can be in that you don't love. It's just life.
Yes.
And so, in life, I mean, the answer I'm hearing here is yes, you go into the bliss. So I'm just like, where to put, if the question was where to put my priority of attention, awareness, because it can go here, it can go here. I mean, I can move awareness. So it could go into the heart, which then is heartfelt, and then there's more love, and then this field gets accentuated.
So let's simplify the question. The question is what? How to deal with any given life situation without losing bliss? No? Without being lost to bliss? What?
What is of most value? What is the way to be?
There's no such thing.
No such thing.
There's no such thing the way to be, because we are the way we are, right? If I can tell you that that's the way to be, that would be relevant to myself, right? If I'll tell you every morning you start drinking high quality Japanese tea, top end brand, organic, good provenance, directly from the family, from a small clay teapot unglazed, from a ceramic cup made by a good crockery maker. That's relevant to my life. Is that relevant to your life? Maybe yes, maybe no. You maybe want to have a cup of coffee from a mug made in IKEA. Does that make you less blissful? No. Do you know what I mean? That I'm really may found funny. Maybe I'm sounding funny. I'm not at all. I'm following exactly. I'm completely hearing what you're saying. It's just I kind of almost want to complete your question because it's not quite fully presenting itself. What is the quest and what is the dilemma? Where is the core of the dilemma? Can you just nail it? What is the dilemma?
think the question arose because, like, I hear you have meditation practices, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and that is helpful. And so I was looking for guidance on throughout the day what is helpful for awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And giving you trying to give you a picture of what is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I was.
Okay, fair enough. That's more direct. So in other words, an additional methodology of how to go throughout daily life, so that there is this reassurance that you are continuously tending to this process, and this process doesn't essentially leave you, and not to miscarriage this. Well, first of all, if you are capable, which I'm sure you are, to establish what is known in Sanskrit terms as sadhana. Sadhana literally means that which supports. That's practice. A certain steady, regular practice which will help you to lean on something. Lean on something. So if you can do it twice a day, great. If you cannot do it twice a day, at least once a day, but 20 minutes may be good, but if you can do it a little longer, that will not hurt either. That would be even better. Doesn't have to be very long yet. It doesn't require, the desire to meditate long hours comes on its own. It shouldn't be forced. And then the circumstances fall around it usually, because it goes hand in hand together. And in the meantime, this would, as it were, charge your spiritual vibrations as a battery that will last you throughout the day. And when you will begin to feel that you're exhausting that power, that you start noticing that essentially you're losing awareness, losing attention, essentially, right? Then you can always find a little repose, just a short repose, and rest in the heart. Just turn your attention to the heart. Just even in the office, wherever you are, where you don't have to be immediately in contact with someone, where no one depends on you holding their hand or being engaged, just sit and position your attention at the heart, because it's easy, and ground yourself there. Simply rest in the heart. That can be just literally 5 minutes is enough, because you don't need to go into a full meditation. It could be your tea break. And then you carry on throughout the day. But the idea here, you see that this process is spontaneous. And a lot could be said about giving yourself to practice fully when you meditate, and then see how that reverberates throughout the day, so that you don't exert any kind of undue pressure on yourself that, how am I performing now? Am I doing well? Not? No. You will forget about that you are practicing any spirituality, then you're tending. You just go and fully give yourself to what you do. This is the best way, and also the best test as well. Witnessing consciousness, or the witness, is something we cannot help. If I tell you, remain mindful, then it will introduce an extraneous, some kind of extra pressure. Now I have to be mindful. I'm speaking to my boss, or I'm speaking to my colleague, or I'm speaking to my employee, and important things I need to relate, right? Doing some calculations, but I want to remain mindful at the same time. And you are neither mindful nor fully giving yourself to what you're actually doing in the moment. That's why it's not required. You see? It's not required. I mean, it could sound a little bit kind of Disneyland-ish, or it may sound a little bit fairy tale-ish, improbable. The path of grace, the path of transmission of power, is actually a spontaneous affair. Once there is an opening, and once it gets hold within, it begins to reverberate and grow. It's as it were unstoppable. That's what the power of Shaktipat is. It's transmission of power. And whatever you do throughout your daily life, it doesn't matter. Just go around that daily life and do what needs to be done. But of course, when you begin to feel that the field of action you are engaged in no longer gives you satisfaction, you have to be attentive. You have to be attentive to what you're doing is in alignment with evolutionary flow, and the best check is, how does it make you feel what you do? If you find yourself doing things you no longer like, maybe it's time to reevaluate that. Call it to question. See what can be done about it. It's a healthy process. But I would not worry about how to keep the check on. Sometimes bliss will be so overwhelming, like just watch it so you don't start, like you might just, I said that many times. You can be in a very important meeting and the bliss just takes you over, So you have to come up with some quick solutions, We talked about it. You might suddenly rock with laughter, for no reason, and everyone looks at you. I'm sorry, excuse me, I just saw comedy last night. It's so funny. Have you seen it, by the way? It's the latest film. Okay, what's the topic? You just need to be smart, Bound to happen. Those little quick fills in will keep you safe. Or if the office is the job you do is really not what you want to do, then it's time to set healthy intentions.
Yeah, it's not. It's our company. We're going to sell it in a couple
Well,
of years.
whatever. These are the semantics. The important thing is to. You ask me what are priorities. You've asked me what's the most important. It is for you to decide. Everything has been said here. Then you go home and start reading something which will inspire you further. Further and bring more understanding and reassurance into this. That there is much more to life than what we have settled for. And then with that understanding, of course, a lot of changes will begin to happen in your life. Even externally. Until it will move to the level where you feel this is more in alignment with your current status.